Hello, Steve White, Steve White C9. Well, it's November 14, 2024, the 50th anniversary of the Amityville murders. Been doing a bit of a movie marathon, but I'm also watching the special features and documentaries and that. I haven't gotten to all the internet ones that have cropped up that I haven't managed to watch, but I have been going through the special features on all the Blu-ray discs. Some because I just didn't even realise how they're mostly interviews about the shows, but on the steelbook of the Amityville Horror, along with For God's Sakes Get Out and the interviews with the actors and that, they also have My Amityville Horror, which is also in the Australian Blu-ray box set and DVD box set as well, along with the Amityville Horror Hoax and the Amityville Horror History Channel documentaries and so forth. And it's a story of, I think it's Chris, because there were two sons, because there were three kids. There was George, Kathy, and the three kids. They never really named the kids. They kept the kids out of the media. And people, there's even a moment where he's talking, where he's saying how he sort of has been called different names his whole life because people think that he's the name of the boy in the movie. So his character had a different name in the Amityville Horror versus Amityville 2, The Possession, and so forth. So I think his name is actually Chris. I'm suddenly forgetting. But in the film it was Danny, and I think it was Mark in the second film. But it's all about him dealing with growing up with the Amityville Horror in his life, because he does remember having paranormal experiences. He's not saying it's a hoax, he's saying it was real and it was traumatizing, and he left home at 15, he had a lot of problems. He hated George, didn't get along with George. The sort of idea put forth in this documentary is that George sort of caused the Amityville haunting because he was in tune with paranormal energies, and he was studying witchcraft and levitation and telekinesis and all these different things, and he's somehow managed to connect with energies in the house or draw them out and so forth. And he said there was even a time we saw George levitating objects before they moved into the Amityville house. Some people suggested that this is, him misremembering things or putting things from the stories, and making them real in his mind. But because he was only 10 when all this happened, but he has really vivid memories of things that happened in the house. Being thrown up a flight of stairs, being levitated, the experience after the window shut on his hand in the first film, and he can actually show you his finger is bent because they didn't take him to the hospital after this, and the bone didn't heal properly, so his finger is permanently bent after that. And apparently it was a spirit that came in and sat down next to him when his mother was getting ice for his hand and that, and they both saw that. And there's all these different experiences that he talks about, and he's clearly very troubled by the whole thing, dealing with the actual reality of the paranormal at that age, and then the media attention, and then having to deal with that his whole life, with people seeing him as just the Amityville Horror kid. And he would have had an easier time had he just denied that no, it was a hoax, nothing ever happened, and then just shut people down. But because he believes it was real and it happened to him, he's always sort of been honest about it, and then trying to sort of deal with it while never really being able to get away from it. And you can see this guy is troubled, and he's pretty scary. There's a moment where one of the producers, I think, asks him would he consider having a lie detector test, and he feels on the spot, and he looks right down the camera and he says, "We're going to have a talk about this afterwards. You put me on the spot like this." And it's like, I was scared for the cameraman or the producer, whoever he was talking to through that camera. I'm sure he's a nice guy. Like there's a scene where he's reunited with one of the reporters who covered the original house and was there for the the seance. And he's also reunited with Lorraine Warren. And when he's talking to her, he's so respectful and kind. She's a very sweet, motherly, gentle sort of woman and that. And you can see he respects his elders. And he's very different when he's talking to her than when he's talking to the documentary makers and the reporter and so forth. I wish I could remember her name. I just assumed I would. I don't have any notes. But it's quite an interesting documentary. You really get to hear a lot about what happened in the house, and also sort of really get to see how it's affected this guy and the relationships with his family. The other brother and sister didn't want to be involved. We don't really know what their stories were. It seems they stayed with their parents and had a different experience from him, but that's uncertain. But the documentary's good. I'm glad they included it, and it's sort of part of the whole sort of special features and part of the sort of the documentaries that you sort of look at when you're looking at this. It's it's sort of inescapable. It's one of the actual people who's in the house and one of the last surviving ones that's talking. So I'm glad they made it. I'm glad they included it. I'm glad I've seen it. But I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of my Amityville Horror if you've seen it. If you haven't and you're interested in the films and the whole story, I would definitely watch it. I'm going to go watch the rest of the films.